Welcome back to Flying the Kupp. This week we are talking about home improvements. Not the show, even though I kind of do look like one of the characters.
It's spitting image.
But we are talking about improvements that we've made to our own personal houses. Now, us being new homeowners, congratulations to you, by the way.
And to you, sir.
We have your own challenge. When you're not renting, it is all on you. But before we get to that, I know you want to get more of us. And to do that, Josh, where do they find us?
You can find us over at flyingthekupp.com for all our videos, podcast links, news, updates, and soon-to-be merchandise. You can find us on social media at Flying the Kupp on Instagram and Facebook. And you can make sure to find us on YouTube and Spotify for all our videos. Make sure to hit the subscribe button, leave your feedback and comments, share it, share. Get the word out there. If you're in that search bar, if you're looking for us, if that's that name you can't see,
it's spelled Kupp. Thank you, Josh Kupperstein.
Yeah,
I am
no
Michael Bennett, your other host, and I am a homeowner that is extremely exhausted from doing a variety of different home improvement projects. So let's start at the beginning, Josh. What was your first project that you took on with your brand new house?
Okay, so the first project, like most homeowners, is to try and paint. Granted, we talked about in the previous episode. Go back in our archives. You can watch that process of how we bought our first home. We both bought our first houses in the middle of a pandemic and moved in. So we had nothing. Very few places were open to get some stuff. And so we had some time on our hands to make some adjustments. Paint was one of the first things that I wanted to do. Our bedroom actually had a silhouette from the previous owners that painted around their platform king-size bed that they must have had pushed up against the wall because they painted around it. So when they left, it's a purple wall that had a white cutout around where the bed was supposed to be. So painting was definitely a first thing for that. Luckily, the old owners did leave a empty or minimal amount of paint left over that happens to be the same exact neutral color for the rest of the house. So I was able to bring it over to Lowe's and have them match the paint and be able to do some of that. I'm not a very good painter. I don't know about you.
It's a learned skill, and at the time of buying my first house, I did not have that skill.
And I don't understand it because I thought, I can call the lines. I can draw. I can do fine. There's no reason why anybody should not be able to paint. My biggest thing was taping the corners and trying to get that exact, which I thought was exact, and having the roller hit, trying to get into the corner as much, and having it roll off and hit the tape. And when you pull the tape off, there's some stuff on the ceiling. That was a pain. And I was lazy, stupid, cheap, whatever you want to call it, as far as getting the ground, the protective covering for the
plastic
ground.
covering.
The plastic covering. Sometimes it's like a bit more of a bigger tarp. So I got what I thought would be enough for a small area, and it kept coming away from the wall. So I would drip paint down the wood floor, and I had to get it out. And luckily it came out. But I think because I was worried about that, it made the process a lot more difficult and long. And I will tell you a quick story. When I was painting the living room and dining room, I went to bed so defeated because if you notice, when you paint, it dries differently. Not every side dries the same.
It's a slow dry.
And it's a slow dry, and it kind of can play with your mind because you think that you missed a spot when it's just dried and this one's still wet. So, and granted, I was painting over the exact same color. So to make sure that you get on there and give a new fresh coat of paint, I went to bed thinking, how stupid am I? I can't even paint. This is my own house, my first thing I'm really doing to it, and I'm screwing this up. And luckily we didn't have much furniture at the time other than we bought from the apartment because everything was closed and we couldn't get furniture. So I had open space to be able to paint without having to move too much furniture, which was nice. However, I went to bed angry. I woke up, it dried, and it actually looked okay.
All right, good work.
And I will tell you about the bedroom, how I fixed that. Obviously, YouTube. but I figured out to take a straight edge razor and I cut out an inch by inch square of the wall, took that color, I took that little square, brought it to Lowe's. They matched the exact color, quick patched in, sanded the wall, repainted it exactly the same, matched it up, looks nice. And with this and the rest of the stories, we'll show you. Make sure to follow our Instagram and Facebook page at Flying the Kupp, and we'll show some before and after pictures. But that was the first thing that I did. What was the first thing that you did in your house?
Well, I don't want to leave the topic of painting just yet, because the first project on my house was a little bit bigger than a little bit more paint, but I ran into a couple of issues while painting, and it wasn't just color or color matching. In my house, when I first bought it, it had a nice beige neutral color along every wall, ceiling, every place. And I thought, not too bad, right? I can work with this. I can develop it out, pick some fun colors, and go from there. What I didn't notice when I originally bought my house was lines that went along the ceiling and walls. I just thought maybe they were shadows, or, maybe it's just where paint dried in a thicker type of line. Boy, was I completely wrong, because underneath that beautiful, neutral, fresh color of paint was wallpaper. And not just any wallpaper. It was wood wallpaper, wood on the walls, wood on the ceiling. Everywhere was wood except for the floors, which were a carpet that collected every bit of dust from the past 25 years. So painting was a challenge from the start, and I didn't know anything. What I've learned from doing my painting through trial and error is painting is 80% prep, 20% actually putting paint on that wall, because first you have to scrape up any imperfections, then you have to sand down the wall, then you have to primer it, then you can paint. But before you paint, you got to put down the canvas or tarp, you have to make sure the brush is all ready, you have to stir the paint, you have to make sure you don't spill paint on everything. It is so much prep work, and they make it look so easy in those TV shows.
They really do. They put down the tarp. It's a huge thing, and they just take those big rollers and they put it in there, and then they're just quickly, and it looks like it's so quick and easy. And I go to do it. I'm the exact same. I'm worried I don't get anything on the floors. I got more paint on myself than I did on the walls. Or something. I fell into the wall while it was still wet. Also to backtrack a little bit, I had to get. They took their TV with them, obviously, the one in the living room, but they left the TV mount on the wall with no hook, no attachments to even put another TV in that place. So I had no way to put anything on that wall, so I had to get that monstrosity off. They had put cables through the walls, there's big holes. So I had a huge project with my father-in-law trying to get that monstrosity off the wall, patching all the holes, wait for that to dry a couple times, put some more on, sand it down, do all that prep work, and then finally be able to paint that side.
Then you can finally add the paint. But moving into my house, I wasn't even thinking about paint to start off, because there was one thing only I needed to do to move into my house, and that was actually get air conditioning.
Wow, yes.
It was a requirement for my girlfriend of the time to move in. She was like, this house is fantastic, but there's only one way I'm going to move in, and that is air conditioning. I bought my house in August, which is known to be one of the hottest months around here, so it was a necessity. I made settlement on August 8th, and I had the HVAC guy there on the 9th. Now, shout out to Mr. Nick Sellers, who helped me with...
Sandman, we love you.
Yeah, absolutely, who helped install that for me and keep it on a more reasonable, cheaper price. And that was really my first project. I really didn't do anything. I had my buddy come and save the day, and he installed a heater, air conditioner, and then I got to start on all the other cosmetic projects of the house, which there's just so many you don't even think about. I'm staring at one right over here. When you first moved into your house, Josh, they left some of the furniture for you as a going away present. And that's a
more
task
of
you have
I
to
don't
deal with.
feel like throwing it out, so we're going to give it to them present. Yes. Now we did agree. It was very, very helpful and very, very nice of them. We did agree on some furniture. The spare bedroom, we have a couple bedrooms, but one of the spare bedrooms, they left the entire mattress, bed frame, headboard, night dresser, the whole entire set. A couple of TVs for the basement, and they also left us a really nice coffee table. I guess that's marble or whatever it is. But they left us 2 couches that were bright, and I'm talking bright orange.
Beautiful color.
Leather couch.
Such a beautifully
Beautifully
orange.
ugly color.
They were awful.
They were absolutely awful. But like I said before, we had the first 2.5 months when we were in here that we had no furniture other than we brought from our apartment. So we were able. We were able to use the basement and get some use out of it while being stuck at home with those couches. So they did the trick. They were kind of falling apart, but again, they were something that we hadn't. So once we were able to get the new furniture, we brought that right out to the curb, and they took it. But that was not very nice couches. I will say that. But
yeah, getting your furniture. It was nice to have furniture here in the first place, but getting it was a completely different story. What was it like getting furniture in a pandemic?
It was brutal. I mean, we had picked out stuff. When we moved in the end of March, we had picked out stuff about middle of March that we had, and we probably should have went with our gut and ordered it and had it ready to on order. I don't know that it would have made a difference, but we decided to sleep on it, and when we slept on it, that's when they closed all the stores, and we couldn't get any more furniture. So we were able to we had the bedroom furniture, we had the desk for the office, the other bedroom was already furnished. We had the ugly couches down in the basement and stuff. And we had used our couch from our living room in our apartment as the living room with the TV. So we had that done, but we had our dining room at the time was completely open. Then we ended up actually completely flip-flopping everything the way that they had it. They had the dining room over by the fireplace and the living room on the other side. I didn't think that made sense at all. Even though you kind of like the concept of go off from the kitchen to a nice dining room, I thought that was stupid, wasting a beautiful marble fireplace in a dining room. I wanted to have a living room there. So we ended up, when we did get furniture, it was a blessing in disguise. Wasn't sure, Tara and I were going back and forth whether we wanted to make that switch or not. We got new furniture that was supposed to be down in the basement. They couldn't fit it down the stairs. So we had to put that couch in the living room, and the only place we could make it work was in that spot where they had the dining room. So we had the dining room, we had the chandelier moved to the other side, and now then we've got all the rest of our furniture fit beautifully in there as a nice dining room, and then had a living room with a nice TV over the fireplace. Worked out perfectly, but that was kind of a happy accident that it didn't make its way down the stairs. And it actually matches a lot better than what we would have had before.
Yeah, getting furniture in a pandemic was super difficult. I had a near impossible time getting a bed into my house. So we brought in one bed that was really going into the guest room, but we didn't want to bring it upstairs just yet, so we decided to throw the mattress on the floor and sleep there for an entire month in one of our spare rooms that wasn't even on our second floor because we wanted to explore some of that. So we went mattress shopping early, but this is a global pandemic, so global supply chain is very limited. So what should have been a week to get a mattress ended up being 3 months to get a mattress. But the people we bought the mattress from were super nice, super helpful, even upgraded our mattress. We got like a nice, king-size bed, and they upgraded it to the next model, too. We need that big bed for me, my partner, and my dog. You got to fit everybody in there, nice and cozy, in those situations. But just filling your house with stuff is a huge project itself. Moving and getting everything in there is a big undertaking. But what would you say was your biggest job?
So there's 2. One, I will piggyback off you having the wonderful Nick Sellers put in your heater and air conditioning from a very expensive and big process. We had immediately within the first couple months, we had a brand new roof, a brand new heater and air conditioning all put in. Granted, we had already had yours went from zero, had nothing of that, no air conditioning, to a brand new system. We had to just replace the system.
It's not like you didn't spend enough money already buying a house.
Buying a house and then having to put down that kind of money. But it was worth it. It's an investment and it's something that we needed to do. So we got a brand new roof, new whole HVAC system, got some better flashing on our deck. And so those are some really big projects. But as far as my own personal handy person project was replacing the garbage disposal. That is not easy. It looks easier on the line, but it's a little bit harder to get because it's a weird angle. You're kind of getting around pipe. You're trying to get under and really trying to get that mount. And it's heavy. It's not cheap. It's a 3/4 horsepower garbage disposal.
It's a real motor in there, yeah.
Yeah. So that and it smelled from the previous one. So it was that was probably the most difficult project that I had to do personally. Other than it's really as simple and I got better at it, but. If you look behind any of my TVs, there's a ton of holes because it took me a little bit to get the perfect angle of trying to mount a TV and make sure it's level and everything. But
quick question: what's your least favorite type of project? Would you say carpentry, electrical, or plumbing?
Electrical. I will not touch electric. If it's something with electric, I'm calling an electrician. I don't mess with that.
I'm gonna have to agree with you with the electrical.
Well, you tried. You tried your electric, didn't you?
Absolutely. I had a lot of confidence going.
And what happened with that?
Not the best thing happened in my electrical experiences. Everyone's safe. Everyone's fine. Happy about the total experience. And if you look at our house today, it's perfectly and wonderfully wired. But when we moved into our house, it was a little bit older of a home and only had the 2-prong outlets and not the 3-prong outlets, so it was missing some of the ground wire. But after removing one of the plates, you saw that it was all wired up to replace it and have those ground wires. What I didn't know was our house was wired in series, so that means everything was connected overall. And as I try and replace one, I was ruining all the other ones down the line. So I started replacing them, and I got excited because I got one to work, and then that was absolutely the only one to work. And then I tried replacing a GFCI, which is if it gets water, it shuts off. It's a good safety feature. I was replacing one of them, and I had my partner go down into the basement, turn off the power so I wouldn't electrocute anybody. I put it in. It's not working. I check it on, tell her to turn on the power, not working. I was fiddling around with it, and the electrical outlet touched the metal box in the wire, short-circuiting the entire system, breaking the breaker. And at that time, my partner was at the breaker box. Sparks flew out and shot at her, and she just starts screaming. The power completely shuts off. Everyone's fine. But she comes running upstairs, looks me dead in the eye and says, "We're calling an electrician." And all that I could say is, yes, we are.
You were definitely grounded on that one, weren't you?
Absolutely. And so I could not do any more electrical projects for a while. We brought an electrician in, replaced all of the outlets. But I went on a whole redemption arc. I started working on some electrical projects while she wasn't home, and got to keep her safe.
Hopefully she's not watching this.
She knew. I prepped her. That's why she left. She's like, I'm not being part of this whatsoever. And I replaced a ceiling fan, and I replaced a couple of ceiling outlets and bulbs. I replaced the chandelier in our house, which is relatively simple electric work that electrician takes half an hour. I take 3 or 4 hours, but the point is the project is done, and that's what it is with home improvements. It's just projects get done. The timing doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how many times you mess up. It's your house.
It's your house, and you're also learning it. I think the beauty of doing home projects yourself as much as you can is you learn more about your house. I will say that the few electric projects that I worked on that I was happy with, that I would continue to do those kinds, are changing out light fixtures, putting new floodlights and things like that, and putting a new ceiling fan in our room that we didn't have a ceiling fan before. Those I felt comfortable with, but I don't know if I would ever be able to switch out an outlet or something like that.
YouTube made it look super easy.
They always make it look easy. But if you think you making it's easy on YouTube, it's also easy to follow us over at flyingthekupp.com, Flying the Kupp on Instagram and Facebook, and YouTube and Spotify. Make sure to hit that subscribe button if you're watching this. It's always easy.
It's not always.
But you also had some redemption, because you might have thought at the moment, this wasn't smart doing this kind of electrical thing without any proper experience. But you in turn turned your house into quite the smart home, didn't you?
I did. The smart home, I went fully Google focused, jumped into that ecosystem, and I have smart lights in my entire house. I could sit here and control everything at home, which having it always connected, just as a heads up to our viewers, make sure you know what accounts are connected to that, because I had it logged into my parents' Amazon Prime account from when I lived in my past house. And what my brother did was he logged into that account and started messing with our lights. And he turned them red, started making them flash. And I'm sitting at home and I'm just like, what is happening? Alina is starting to panic and was just like, what is this? We're Googling security flaws in these types of lights. We found one and we're like, okay, fine. We'll just have to switch out every single light bulb in our house. So I had to go to Costco, buy a whole new system for lights. So we switched over to that. And then we learned that my brother was messing with the lights. So be aware of what it's all connected to.
Wow. That conversation might not have gone too well when you figured that out, did it?
I was a little upset just because I like the idea of the smart technology, the smartness to make my life just slightly easier. Makes it real nice where I can lay in bed and turn down the air conditioning or turn off the living room light because I kept it on. That's always a big deal to me. But have you moved into the smart technology?
Minimally. I got an Alexa little Dot and an Alexa Show. And at first I never really thought I would get into it. It was not my thing. I didn't really see the point of it. Now I like it a lot. Always playing Jeopardy every night. During the week on it, feeling stupider and dumber every single day. But I really like it for the music, for questions, for whatever. I really enjoy it. I've started in the market to look for some smart plugs and trying to figure out how I want to map out the house with that, because I like the concept after being at your house and seeing how nice it is to have the lights. And this way I can always control if someone leaves a light on, I can make sure to have that, or tell it to make me coffee or grab me a beer or whatever. I don't think it can get that far yet, but we'll see how smart it really is.
Check out some YouTube videos. They've got the technology.
They do have the technology, I guess. And another, like the video doorbell. We never had a peephole, so now I can see who's at my front door. It's their ultimate laziness. I don't have to get up, and I can just be like...
They're super cool.
They are nice. They're very nice for security reasons. I can see what's happening in my neighborhood without actually having to be out there. I can see when something is delivered. If they say that it's actually delivered, I can tell. So that kind of smart technology I like. And I am rather old school in many ways, but that new technology I'm all for.
Yeah, and I hear that's relatively surprisingly easy to install.
They're very easy to install.
Those types of things. Was there any other project that was relatively easy for you? I would say replacing the flush valve in the toilet upstairs. We were experiencing a situation where it was just not flushing all the way down, and would take upwards of 10 minutes to finish refilling, and decided to buy a whole new system, flush valve system. So taking apart the tank, I always thought that was something that would be a lot more difficult and but a 2 minute, literally a 2 minute YouTube video, I was able to understand how they do the entire process. The only issue that I did have was attaching the tank back to the seat and not
fully tightening the screws as much, because I was afraid with it being porcelain, you tighten it too much, it can crack. So I thought it was tight enough, but apparently it wasn't, because when I started turning the water back on, it filled and came right back out the screws. So a couple of times I had to drain it again. And but I was surprised at just how easy it was to take the connection off, take off the back, and easily hook, screw to replace those fill valves. So
Josh, I had a similar story too with replacing a toilet. I replaced my entire upstairs bathroom and ran into the exact same problem that you did, but unfortunately mine didn't show immediately that it was leaking. It slowly leaked overnight, filled back up, and then kept leaking. So when I woke up, my entire floor was soaked, but I could see that nothing was leaking. So I went full blown at that project. I tightened them hard, and then I flushed the toilet, stopped it from filling up, and I just sealed it with silicone. I was like, this is not going anywhere, because the day before, I was proud of myself. I replaced an entire toilet with a 2-tank system, hit it with the plunge, make sure it was good. The house didn't smell like backwater poop at that point, so I knew I installed it right. I just finished repainting my bathroom with a special paint, so it goes from piss brown and yellow color to a nice white color. Check us out on the Instagram. We'll show you those pictures of how I redid that entire bathroom. I really was proud of myself, and then it just was leaking. There's always little problems when you have your own house.
And I will say those little problems can make your heart skip a beat. Every time you hear something crack, or you immediately freak out and think, how much is this going to cost? What's involved here? What's going to go wrong? We had a situation where on our main living level, we had the toilet overflowed, and the water went back towards the wall, went through the wall, and then came right down through the basement drop ceiling. And at first we were, a little worried, like, oh, I hope it's not a pipe or anything. And it turned out it was just because the water had seeped back, and the regular, toilet clogged. That had nothing to do with any kind of pipe issues, and we got that all cleaned up. But that was a little scary at first. And I don't know if it's just the age of my house or just most houses. When the air pressure changes and fluctuates, you have a lot of popping noises, and the drywall screws, I think, where it just makes it, the air comes off the walls and makes a little pop sound. And especially when Tara was working night shift and I was the only one in the house, still getting used to it. It's dark, it's quiet, I'm the only one in, and you just hear pops. That was a little freaky.
This is great. I bought a house with ghosts.
Yes, and of course I'm not going to talk my way out of it. If a ghost is coming at me, I'm pretty much screwed.
Yeah, boo-hoo, you're done for.
Yep. And I won't look pretty either. I'll probably go out with you call it piss color brown. I probably will go out just like that.
Well, when you have the old houses and you make the moves and you try and update them, the nice part is it's your house. Like, you take responsibility for everything in that, but every creak, every squeak, you are responsible for that. And if they are ghosts, at least hopefully they'll be nice ghosts, and they'll take care of you, and hopefully they'll wish me luck on some of the future projects.
What do you have going on in the future?
That we have. And in the future, there's always plans. One day, I want to make a beautiful basement. I have an unfinished basement right now that gets plenty of water, so it kind of turns into a swimming pool at certain points, which it's not supposed to. So I got to waterproof that basement, and then I want to make that into a man cave one day. That's kind of the dream. You have a beautiful setup here. I would like to replicate that in some way, but that's
some belts.
That's far off into the future.
Maybe some belts for your collection. Bennett belt.
We need a Bennett belt. I might have to make my own though. I don't think these are spectacular enough. We gotta
don't you talk.
We gotta step it up. We gotta bring it to another
level. A replica of the Attitude Era Championship belt. Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Undertaker, The Rock, Triple H held this belt. Mankind.
I'm not worried about the past. I'm worried about the
This
future.
is my bachelor party. You guys got me that. That's sentimental to me.
I'm worried about the future, and the future's Flying the Kupp. And if they want to follow us on Flying the Kupp, where do they find us
You
again?
can follow us at Flying the Kupp on Instagram and Facebook, over at YouTube and Spotify. Make sure to hit that subscribe button, like, comment, share. We'd love to hear your feedback. What are some home improvement projects that you have, that you're working on, that you're most proud of? Anything that you want to comment on, please make sure to leave your comments on social media, on YouTube. We love to hear from you. We read everything. And again, check out their social media page for some before and after pics. But if you're also flyingthekupp.com, look out for the merch section coming soon. Also find the link to all our videos and podcasts and news and updates on there at flyingthekupp.com. If you're looking for us, it's a name you can't see. It's spelled Kupp. And I'll just close this. My future projects that I want to work on are eventually when we start to have kids, I want to convert the office into a nursery, a spare bed bathroom in the hall bathroom. We're going to have to try and figure out. That's something I really want to take care of soon, redo the kitchen eventually. Depends on how long we plan on staying in here, how much money and time and effort I want to put in, but I definitely want to increase that. But you don't want to make too fancy of a bathroom and then have a kid and then, have to kidify the bathroom, if you will. So that's to be determined, but it's all fun to look forward to, and again, it's our houses and we can do whatever we want with them.
We do absolutely whatever we want because every creek, every crick, every crack is our responsibility. It's our house. We earn the pleasure to take care of those home improvements.
Paid for it.
And we are constantly improving. We are always moving forward. We left our houses at that time, and now we are moving forward in our own houses and our own futures. And you can continue to follow us and do that as we continue to
Fly the Kupp. You hear that?
Yeah. Is this always like that?
I think there's ghosts.
All
Hello?
Well, they seem friendly. They
Yeah,
probably
while
watch
you're
Flying the
here.
Kupp.
They're friendly to you. No one likes me.
Well, tell them to watch some Flying the Kupp.
They do, and they all say that they hate me. It's all the ghosts. We get some ghost viewers sometimes.
Boop!